It's Wednesday, the 15th of May, 2024. Welcome to the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, 5 stories to get through in 5 minutes, and the first story is a very big one. The federal government has announced cost of living measures, including $300 in power bill discounts for every household and a second straight budget surplus.
Yes, Treasurer Jim Chalmers delivered his third budget, second straight surplus. As you mentioned, that hasn't happened in 2 decades. The centrepiece was cost of living relief, including $300 for every household and $325 for many small businesses to offset energy costs. That's a rebate, not a handout. There's also rent assistance, which combined with the energy measures should lower inflation by at least 0.5 percentage point. There's also big spending on wage increases in the care sector and a jump in defence spending. The Future Made in Australia strategy includes $13 billion in production tax credits for critical mineral extraction and clean hydrogen production. The bottom line this year comes in as a $9.3 billion surplus, though big deficits, about $112 billion over the next 4 years, are forecast. The government says the inflation rate will fall to within the Reserve Bank's 2 to 3% target range this year. It's downgraded its growth forecast to just 1.75% this financial year, though, and 2% next financial year.
What do you reckon, Sean? Good budget, bad budget, maybe an election budget?
Maybe. Plenty of things that voters might like over the next 12 months. Of course, the election is due sometime before May next year. We have money for energy costs and an inflation rate within the Reserve Bank's target range, i.e. maybe they'll move on interest rates. Labor would like that. Stage 3 tax cuts won't hurt the government either, nor will the extra rent assistance, the help with the HEX debt, or the help with the help debt. There's also a bunch of Future Made in Australia incentives, although they do kick in later on, probably won't affect the election cycle too much. Basically, the government can do it because there's plenty of revenue, plus spending on welfare payments is much lower than expected. Much of the big spending items don't occur for at least 12 months. That's why you get this budget surplus this time around. Bottom line here is the government will make things better in the short term, which is the election year, even if they've probably got a few challenges on their hands after that.
All right, on to story number 2 now, which is linked to story number 1 because it's also out of Canberra. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese says Labor will cut the immigration intake to below 300,000, down from the record 548,000 intake in the year to September 2023.
A jump in international students and temporary workers pushed up arrivals last year, and the surge has probably already peaked. Annual population growth for the September quarter hit 2.5%, the highest in more than 70 years. Mr Albanese said the government wants to bring immigration down to about half that level. As part of last night's budget, the government outlined ways in which it hopes to reduce numbers, including a clampdown on integrity measures for students in higher education. Mr Albanese said it's important that people travel to Australia to be educated, but he doesn't want them gaming the system.
Story number 3, Qantas is going to stop its direct flights to mainland China due to a lack of demand as tourists from the world's second most populous nation stay away from Australia.
In July last year, Qantas relaunched its Sydney-Shanghai route, but yesterday said a lack of demand meant they're going to close it down. Planes on the route were often just half full. Now it'll rely on its partners and flights to Hong Kong to ferry people to mainland China. The route will be replaced by a Brisbane to Manila flight. All this came as the Bureau of Statistics released figures that show visitors from China are just 37% of pre-COVID levels. It's a pretty bad number in what's actually a much more upbeat look at tourism in Australia. International travel's back to 91% of pre-pandemic levels. In the case of South Korea, it's actually higher. Main sources of visitors, New Zealand, the USA and UK.
Story number 4, how about this one? BHP has made a second bid for Anglo American worth around $64.4 billion. And once again, Sean, the board of the UK-based miner has said no.
It came ahead of the Anglo American management outlining a new strategy overnight, which is supposed to revive the ailing miner. The new bid is about $5 billion more than the initial offer made last month. It would involve BHP issuing about $47 billion worth of new shares. That's a lot of shares. The structure is very similar to the previous offer, whereby BHP would sell controlling interests in 2 listed South African miners. After being rejected, BHP CEO Mike Henry said he was disappointed. He said the combined portfolio of the 2 miners would have high-quality assets in copper, potash, iron ore, and metallurgical coal. Bit of time pressure on BHP on this one because the UK has what's known as put up or shut up takeover laws, meaning the big Australian has to get Anglo to the table or make a hard bid before May 22.
Last one, story number 5, GameStop shares surged as speculation swirled around a return to social media by Keith Gill, who drove the meme stock mania of 2021 under the moniker Roaring Kitty.
Yes, the Roaring Kitty post on X showed a man leaning forward with what looked like a gaming controller, which some traders interpreted to mean Gill is back in action, according to Bloomberg. Gill, whose account has long been dormant, shot to fame in 2021 by rallying day traders on Reddit in an effort to squeeze GameStop short sellers. Back then, he started posting that GameStop was undervalued. In a month, it went from $17.25 a share to $500 a share. Roaring Kitty then pretty much disappeared from sight. GameStop's share price also disappeared from sight. That was until yesterday. The post yesterday attracted more than 12 million views. More than 175 million GameStop shares changed hands, almost 30 times the one-year average. Trading was halted 9 times in 90 minutes. In the end, the share price closed up 74%.
There we go. The top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It's Wednesday, the 15th of May, 2024. Remember to hit follow on the podcast, and if 5 minutes isn't enough, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed, wherever you listen to podcasts, or head along to fearandgreed.com.au, which is also where you can sign up for our free weekly newsletter. It comes out every Wednesday morning, so there is still time to get your email address in and check out today's newsletter. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the past 5 business news by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.